Hello, welcome to the Transcontinental Ladder, round 15. This is the Aristotle rank, the top rank of the ladder. I am playing against two of the best players in the world, as far as I know. The number one position is GaryPan. He is the number one as far as experience goes. He's level 42. GregoryD is level 34. He's also an excellent player. These guys are both in the rulebook. If you look at the back of the rulebook, they are in the credits for testing the new version of Through the Ages. And these guys both have way more experience with the game than I do. So this will be fun. So Gary went with the Library of Alexandria, which is happens to be the only wonder on the board. So pretty good play, pretty smart play by him. So here I am second. I have a couple ways I could go. I could take Engineering Genius, but I don't see any other wonders on the board. I'm just not really sure what that picture is going to look like. By not taking it, yeah, I leave it to Gary and Gregory to take. So I'm a little wary about letting that go, but I think this is a better play. I'd rather go Hammurabi and Urban Growth. Why urban growth over Richland? Because I'd rather basically I see urban growth as +1 science, not +1 rock. I value science more than I do rocks. Could have gone Aristotle here. I'm favoring Hammurabi lately. I just like the flexibility that he allows. That fifth action is so nice, and getting the discount on the leader, getting a really nice revolt if I want to do that. Aristotle, I feel like to really use him well, I have to kind of lean into him a little bit and grab text that I don't necessarily need at the moment. He's just a little bit more. He's just a little harder to use than Hammurabi. Hammurabi just like it's everything just gets easier when you have Hammurabi. I feel like. So Gregory D went Engineering Genius, Aristotle. Great start. There aren't any wonders yet, but here we have Hanging Gardens and Colossus come out. So Pyramids did not come out. Gary did a very typical bronze opening with Homer. So here I am with Hammurabi. Of course, I'm going to play Hammurabi and going to follow through with the philosophy and increase pop. So I have two more actions, one or two more actions with Hammurabi. Again, Gregory is all set with Engineering Genius. So I'm looking at what he has available. He has Hanging Gardens coming up for him. Colossus, we could have a whole discussion about Colossus. I've never done too well with Colossus myself. It's on paper it's all right, but I just never, I like to play with it. I like to experiment with Colossus sometimes and try different builds, but this not in this game. I'm not gonna play around in this game. So Hanging Gardens is there. I'm gonna steal that, and another play could be Frugality, and probably just let the other action be a military card. But that lets Gregory get Hanging Gardens for 1, and he has Engineering Genius. So it really lets him combo off of Engineering Genius a little bit too hard. I'm not a huge fan of Hanging Gardens. That's why this is kind of a decision. Mostly because of Ravages of Time, which will destroy the a wonder. So yeah, I'll stick with that. Here we go. See what we get. So Gregory D is grabbing some yellows here. Looks like he's not gonna, yeah, no Aristotle. He's not putting Aristotle down. Grabbing some yellows instead. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we have Development of Civil Life. It's basically a free action. Looks like he increased his pop with his free action, so he got +1 food out of that. Also got a free resource by building a warrior with Homer, and took drama. interesting play. That's not something I usually see taken at all. But Gary didn't have a whole lot else in the row there. He had to spend two actions to get resources reserves. I mean, and there wasn't a whole lot else for him. He wasn't going to go bread and circus with Homer. Um, so he took the drama. So that could be pretty scary to catch up to. He's gonna with drama is 2 points a turn. The library be 1 point a turn. He does tend to go Genghis or Joan of Arc a lot, so that would be even more points to catch up to. So that we'll see what he ends up building with that. That could be really really good. Um, Skipping politics, I'm going to follow suit with the population increase. Reason being that Gary is now in a good position to build a third legion, and who knows what he has for tactics. I mean, I'm not. He's only drawn like 3 cards, so I'm not too scared. But there's potential there, and I just want to keep up. So I'm going to get the free food with that civil development of civil life, and then with my turn, definitely grabbing these breakthroughs. I mean, how often does that happen where you get 2 breakthroughs at one? And then I'll definitely want to grab Richland here for 2. Now I have a 5th action. There, I could see maybe building a stage of the wonder here and not building the bronze mine. The reason being that then I could take advantage of a free warrior if the free warrior event comes up. So there's something to be said for that. Start working on that wonder, but that would put me short 1 resource, and I think it's nice. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say I'd rather definitely get +1 resource than maybe saving 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and build that mine and risk maybe losing out on the free warrior. So that's that. Let's end the turn. Oh, look at that. Very, very nice grab. Oh, so it looks like he's skipping Aristotle. Uh, Understandable. He's going for the rocks on Leonardo instead, instead of the science. This is one of the best things that can happen to Hammurabi is getting those 3 military draws. We'll see what I get here. So Gary finishes the library. He likes Joan of Arc. He might take Joan here, but Swordsman is there. Yep, Swordsman's gonna go. And he does build that third warrior for one resource. Okay, so Gary did not play Legion, which is good for us. Um, Gregory is in a position where he still doesn't have a wonder, but he has 2 great wonders coming up. St. Pete's, I can't take St. Pete's from him, or he might go for Great Wall to take that from Gary. So, so he finally gets his wish. I might steal Engineering Genius from him. So here on my turn, I drew Inhabited Territory, which can be really nice with Columbus and New Deposits. I might, so the only one I would play might be New Deposits. I don't see a real compelling reason to do so. So I'm going to skip politics and draw warfare here, and this will let me get to that third military action, which is really nice for Hammurabi. And Knights is a auto pick, and then one more action. So I could get Frederick here. That's Frederick's just one action, and he could be good if I do get an early irrigation and get that set up. I'm not sure that I could get an early irrigation. I do have rich land, but that might come later, and who knows when that gets set up. I mean, until I do get some kind of farm technology, he's really only going to save me two rocks for the next two pops, and also the two actions for the next two pop increases, and which is nice. But Hammurabi's already given me actions, um, and I can get two rocks right here, Engineering Genius, and that also steals it from Gregory. So I'm going to stick with just getting that. And now this discard is going to be difficult. So let's go ahead and end the turn. Two of these are going to have to go. So yeah, like I said, I'm not too excited about new deposits. Now, Fighting Band, the tactic I have, that I don't need it really. Actually, this is not going to be that difficult. I lied. There, I'm done. All right, so we have yep, as predicted. Well, he could have gone Great Wall, but he went Basilica. It's a risky first wonder because Ravages will destroy a lot of happiness, Ravages of Time. But it's a good wonder. Free stuff. Gary's going Great Wall with the three warriors, three infantry, and getting a free upgrade with Homer. He's really making the most of Homer here. He didn't grab Barbarossa. He might be hoping for Genghis instead. With he has a lot of stuff going for Genghis here with Swordsman and Great Wall. So I'm thinking that that's a reason for me to try to keep it out of his hands. That's a great setup for him. I'm gonna go ahead and if I were to go for Genghis, I wouldn't necessarily want to get knights right now, but I think what I'm gonna do instead is keep Genghis away from Gary by making it fall off the row. So and then that lets me go for Columbus still. So I'm gonna skip politics. Not gonna play inhabited territory. Keep that for Columbus. I'll play knights because we have a lot of corruption to deal with. So I'm gonna want to definitely address that. And knights is a good way to get six blues back on into the bank. And then with three actions left, I can only take two things. But if I take these two things, then Genghis will fall off on Greg's turn. It'll be in the leftmost two spots on Greg's turn. And then I do have that optional last action with Hammurabi, and I'm going to use that to start the wonder. And I can't use Engineering Genius yet. I'd like to use Engineering Genius because I don't like to end with 4 cards with a hand full. But I'm going to have to use it next turn anyway, like to finish the wonder, because the wonder's going to fall off if I don't. So I'll go ahead and keep that turn. Now the discard is going to be interesting here. We have two. I said that last time. I was wrong, but two cards to discard. I definitely want to keep inhabited territory. I'm thinking it's these two. I'm not setting up to be super aggressive. I mean, Gregory, he can catch up. If Gregory was not in a good position to catch up in military, then maybe I would keep some aggressions and hope to get some advantage on that. Hope to maybe enslave him. But he is prepared. He has happiness coming. He has knights. He has plenty of resources. Yeah, he's not going to be in a position where I can enslave or raid him. And the other things just are more valuable to me. I don't want to put down phalanx right now because then Gary could copy it. So I'm going to keep phalanx until I need it. And so that's why I'm going to just let these aggressions go and keep the boat and so on. There's the free warrior. I'll be able to build the gardens in time to take advantage. Yeah, so there he is getting military. Oh, phalanx. Yeah, so there was no way I was gonna get any kind of jump on Gregory. He's a better player than that. There's no rating him. And two. That's gonna be a problem. Wow, too many blues. That's just too many blues out. Um, so he gets another free warrior resource. And okay, well, there's Columbus gone. So I guess that's the consequence of stealing someone's favorite leaders. They steal yours. I mean, what else was he gonna take? Um, two actions to get Columbus. So he probably has something to go with that. Although possibly not. He might just be waiting because what else is he gonna take, right? Um, but he might have like a vast territory. He doesn't have inhabited. He might have vast, and that's kind of scary. Vast territory with the Great Wall. Gregory, yeah, they both got really strong just now, and I'm not going to be playing an event as the weakest player. So I'm skipping politics. I'll get the free warrior. I happen to have phalanx as well, so that worked out pretty well. And now I'm the strongest. I do have to finish this wonder, and I want to use engineering genius to free up some hand space. So also, I really don't like being full. It's something I try to avoid. I am kind of a little hamstringed here as a result of being full. I do want Michelangelo, um, so I'm gonna not use Hammurabi's ability because look, I mean I only have one space for a card, and if I used Hammurabi's, I don't know what I would do with three actions. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'm just gonna have to settle for an extra military card instead. And so I have quite a few choices as to what I could pull. I do have rich land, which makes me want to pull iron here, and also iron. Like Michelangelo loves iron. I could look forward to an age two wonder if I get iron going. There aren't any ones left, but the age two wonders are all potentially good for me at this point. Um, so yeah, unfortunately, I do have corruption. I could research swordsman and get out of corruption that way, but then I have no science coming in for next turn. I can't get into iron. I would just kind of be sitting at doing nothing with myself for like the next couple turns because I could take alchemy and actually get the science going a little faster. Um, and that I could see, I could see doing that. I figure that again, iron is more in line with Michelangelo and what he does, and so I'm taking iron, and I have Richland. So it just seems like that's kind of more of the direction I need to go right now, and hopefully I can pick up some science, maybe get max to get a free, a cheap revolt into some probably republic would be nice. Medieval army. So I actually might use medieval army because I'm gonna get another guy out. All right, so it looks like Gregory's gonna go alchemy and make the most out of Leonardo. Plus two science a turn. Gary's going Great Wall with masonry. So that's plus four military for him, putting him in a pretty dominant position. Grabs monarchy. Imagine he'll revolt into that perhaps next turn. I don't know. It's pretty late monarchy. So I'm going to once again skip politics. I don't want to feed Gary. I mean, he's played four of these events and gotten himself into a pretty militarily dominant position. and so I'm gonna guess that there's some military, some strength-based events in there. So I'll go ahead and skip that. Now, my original plan was going iron and upgrade, and probably at this point take the science on the row because that's what I'm low on. And this is still all right. I think this is all right. I'm maybe I have a chance to get Kremlin. I don't. I probably about 50% chance though. I Gregory is gonna need to start like thinking about military. He'll probably because okay, so Napoleon's right there at 3 actions. I imagine Gregory would take Napoleon at this point and probably leave team sports and theology alone, and I would get Kremlin if Gary didn't desperately want it for some reason. Um, so this could work, and I could get into my 5th civic action that way, and maybe I would take team sports. Um, the other the other possibility though, and this is probably glaringly obvious, is um, going for Napoleon here. And the reason I would go code of laws first in that case is because then I could actually elect Napoleon and then have another action, and then I would use that action to increase pop, build a knight, and get medieval army out. Now I'm looking pretty dominant. I mean that's basically an 8 point swing between me and Gregory. Had he taken it, we would both be at 11. So that lets me raid him. I can raid his brand new alchemy. Um, Ideally, I draw a science event. Oh, sorry, a science aggression, like a spy or war of technology, and then that gets even better, and I can shore up that weakness. That's probably not going to happen, but I can. I'll be taking advantage of any strength-based events. Hopefully draw some good aggressions. Oh, that is just wow. 2 War of Technologies. Definitely gonna try using both of those this game. Oh, that's just rude. Makes sense though. Leave the strong guy out of it. Greg preparing for rebellion possibility. So Gary does get a territory, and I can't click on it at the moment, but we'll find out what that is in a second. Okay, so vast territory, vast one. So he did have vast territory last turn, I guess. Just chose not to plop it down. Maybe he just thought, well, he might draw a better one, and so he wanted to wait. But now that he saw Napoleon go up, he thought, all right, well, it's time to just cash this in. So I basically drew. I don't know how I could have drawn any better last turn. 2 Wars of Technology, and promise of military protection, so that nobody can surprise me with +4 strength out of nowhere. And of course, the obvious choice is to declare war on GregoryD. Um, if we look at his side of the board, there's really nothing he can do about that at 5 science. There's if he had 6 science, I might be concerned about riflemen showing up and maybe getting a little stronger, but I'd still probably declare war. If he was at 8 science, like if he hadn't done irrigation, then I'd be concerned about strategy. But either of those cases, he's only going to get to like 10 to 12 military. So yeah, it's a good move, I think, to declare war. Now, difficult decision here is what do I grab from the row? I only have 2 spaces left. I can't really play anything that I grab because of my science deficit. This looks pretty interesting to me. This is like a long term play to prepare myself for H3. That would be one one thing I'm interested in. I could do something kind of a short term thing that also hurts GregoryD even more because I'm already stealing science from him, and I just stole 7 more science from him effectively. The problem with that, the thing is though, I do really want scientific method, and that would require me to leave Gregory with something. Breakthrough or revolutionary idea. If I took revolutionary idea, then that means that after he gets to 9 science next turn, then loses, let's say 6 to me, he's at 3 science. Breakthrough's not really going to help him get out of that situation at 3 science. So that's why I prefer to steal revolutionary idea. That way I can declare another war of technology on the following turn. Then there's 2 actions left. Now I could take Kremlin here. The problem with that though is I don't yet have a happiness solution. I could, hope to get organized religion. But Kremlin, really, really don't need any more military actions. 1 more civic action is great, except that it's going to cost 12 resources to get there, and also give me more happiness issues. And I guess the happiness issue is not that big a deal. It's the fact that I don't need the military action, and 12 resources for 1 civic action just isn't really in my interest. I'd rather focus on getting iron and scientific method running. I might grab Eiffel Tower next turn if I have the chance. If I have the opportunity. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Now, there's one more thing that I could do here, and that would be to get the heavy cavalry going. I am corrupting at this point if I don't do anything else, but what I could do is research heavy cav and move a warrior over to heavy cav. And this prepares me, not only does it give me +1 strength, but it prepares me for disbanding that warrior to put on a happiness building. The only issue with this, and it's kind of a big one, is that I'm drawing 3 less military cards, and I'm not searching for that age 2 military tech. Capping out at 16 military isn't really a good long-term game plan. It's weird. I don't usually end the turn with civic actions and corruption on a regular basis, but I just did that twice in a row. Oh, actually, I want to get rid of this because I don't see using that really. I mean, inhabited. I don't know. That's a toss-up. I could do either one. I might try, if I run out of aggressions, I could try to promise somebody my protection. So yeah, he does take breakthrough, seeing his shortage of science coming up. Gets more science. No increase in military. I thought he might build a knight, but that would require him to sacrifice a little bit of production. And Gary gets a 2nd drama, so he's going to be really churning out those points. Going to be a little more difficult to catch up to. So he took patriotism also. So, I mean, if I wanted to aggress against him right now, it would be a little like if I had declared war against him now, that's 1 less reason to do so. But those points are going to be tough. Now, his economy, he's still at 2 science and 3 resources, just the base production. So that's where I do have the edge right now. I'm going to be getting into scientific method, and perhaps so is he. But I'm going to have iron going by then, and my hope is that I'm going to have a better economy going into age 3 thanks to my free science. So instead of trying to declare war on Gary and maybe push it up to 17, I'm going to go ahead and just declare another war on Gregory. because he is pretty much defenseless with 2 science. It's going to be iron, and I'm going to go ahead and do all irons actually because it's still round, what is it, round 9? Um, that's, I could, at this point, I could wait for an efficient upgrade to do that a little more efficiently or a rich land, but I'm going to be really wanting to grab other things this age, like selective breeding, organized religion. And so I'm not going to try to wait. I don't really want to wait for rich land at this point. And the last action I'm looking at. So, I could have done, I actually could have done Transcontinental Railroad, but I have a lot of resource demand already with scientific method. Um, and then, of course, I want to get into some kind of farming technology. So that's right there, 18 resources that I need to come up with. So I feel like by the time I got Transcontinental Railroad also done, that's 30 resources. It's just gonna take too long. I'm gonna go and skip that. Navigation is another option here, but the problem is my farm is so weak right now that to try to actually colonize something, I'm gonna be losing pop like permanently, semi-permanently if I do colonize anything. So that would be just for the two military. So I'm not gonna do that either. And I'm just gonna go ahead and upgrade that last mine and get frugality. Let's see what the discard looks like. Again, the boat, for the same reason, I'm not as excited about keeping the boat. I got fortifications, which is it's the worst thing for Napoleon to be trying to sit on one military tech. I'm not super excited about it. Then again, I don't think anybody's going to want to scientifically cooperate with me. So maybe that's, especially not Gregory. Um, Maybe that's what I discarded. Let's see. It's either that or promise. Um, Boy, I don't want to go like aggression, the raid go, and I think it's going to be scientific cooperation here. If I were to try to enact that, it would be with Gregory. I just don't see him accepting that, and especially after I get into scientific method, it just would be not only suicide for him to do so, but also um, or not coming from somebody who just stole like 14 science from him. So that makes a lot more sense. Drama makes a lot of sense there. Seeing cultural influence, Gary probably played both. Played that and thought, okay, drama makes sense now. Um, Gregory is responding to the second war by building a knight and a warrior. Actually, disbanded a bronze mine to do so. So that's a decision he had to make, I guess. And let's see, great, good harvest. We all get some food. I'm not going to really be able to use the 2 food, not for a while. There's seemingly the farm techs are just way in the back. So I'm going to have to wait for those to come out. Gary gets a warrior upgrade for +1 military and does pick scientific method as I expected him to. So he's not going to skimp by with no science, which can be done, of course. So I'm out of wars. I have this raid. If I played the raid, all he would need is an Age 2 boat to be able to defend that. I think I'd rather, I know I'm pretty confident Gary played some strength-based events in there. 2 of them came out that weren't, so I'm thinking either there's a really high probability that one of those is a strength-based event. So I'm more inclined to play an event right now than to try to maybe get some resources from Greg. So this looks pretty good. The only person who has a colony is Gary, so it's potentially hurting my biggest competition right now. So let's play that. Reign of Terror. Sorry, Greg. All right, so we have constitutional monarchy is right there in the row, and I have a ton of science at this point. I wasn't gonna prioritize another government necessarily, but it is kind of perfect here. We have just enough for that and scientific method, and it just seems like it's such a good fit. I'm gonna go ahead and do both. This is gonna put my science pretty far back for now, but I think that'll pay off pretty nicely for age 3, having 7. What is that? 7 actions. Um, Also, really liking Richland here to get ready for selective breeding whenever that decides to show up. And then it's between engineering genius and rifleman. And engineering genius would be great for the ocean liner. So that's an option for sure. Um, the nice thing about taking rifleman though is that I don't have to necessarily, I'm not so pressured to research swordsman next turn before it falls out of my hand. And so I can accumulate more science getting ready for an age 3 tech. And not only that, but it also puts organized religion, keeps it in the 2 bank so that Gregory's not going to take organized religion for 2. I don't know that he necessarily would unless he was trying to prepare for ravages just like I am. But it just makes it that much less likely that he will take it. I kind of am at this point also committing to a more military strategy just because GaryPan is so far ahead in points. He's got about, when you do the math, it looks like about 60 points that he's ahead of me as it stands now. And he, of course, might ramp up his culture even further. So I'm going to have to come up with 60 points somehow. And I figure with Napoleon, I'm probably just going to do it that way with some warfare, and hopefully get a pretty good war of culture going. At least one. I need something like that. I can't do 60 points just on impact. So I'm going to lean a little bit more into Napoleon by taking rifleman, and then I also hope to get cannon on the next turn. We'll see if that happens. So we got 2 more aggressions. Love it. Infiltrate and spy. So it looks like Gary killed another bronze mine and built a knight. It takes a efficient upgrade, presumably for organized religion or some age 3, maybe computers. Gary goes with scientific method. Gets the 1 guy on science, getting 3 science plus 1 from the library. And Gary, I've seen Gary put 1 guy in science before and make it work. And if there's anybody who can make that work, it's Gary. So, in my turn, I don't have much of military advantage, just plus 3. So even though I have all these aggressions, I'll just have to save those for a later time when I have more military. I have three events. There's 2 territories and prosperity. I don't have any boats, but with all these military actions, I'm pretty likely to draw some in age 3. So I'm kind of leaning towards a territory at this point. Nobody took navigation, and so I have a pretty good advantage. Everybody else is at 2 military actions. So I have a huge advantage on grabbing a territory later in the game. So I'm going to play historic territory because I need this to catch up with Gary. It's one of the great one of the best ways to catch up with somebody is just boom, 11 points. Do I want to be down a pop for most of age 3? just for 3 science? No. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass. I probably would not have won this anyway, even with a knight. And so it's not like this is a huge decision. Okay, so Gary wins the colony, and he loses 2 boats and a swordsman. So, and that's, it makes sense that Gary would go for something like that. He has the food production to make up for that. He has extra population. And so really it's just for him, it was just the 3 resources was the reason, the biggest cost for him. Gregory also went for that, and he's probably thinking the same thing. I have food coming in. He doesn't have a lot of resources, but he has wave of nationalism. So my move's going to be scientific method and definitely taking cannons because I have this. That might be what I get into. And then the last, I have room for 2 more cards. I don't want to, like, at this point, do anything besides take cards. I can't really. 4 science. And, this is where I would have played swordsman had I not taken rifleman, just because I would want to be ready for maybe drawing an age 2 tech. I don't know. Then again, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But I'm glad to let swordsman be discarded. Now, I do say those 2 cards. One of them might be organized religion. One of them might be opera, it'd be one of those. Organized religion would be more militaristic, and opera would be more, hey, let's try to catch up on points. I do see, with GaryPan, it's still at 2 military actions and really needing to catch up on things. I do see an opportunity here to attack Gary, so I'm still going to be pursuing that. Now, does that mean I take organized religion here? The thing is, there is a organized religion, another one in the deck, and also there's professional sports in age 3. So it's not like this is my last opportunity. It is a good one at one civic action. But then there's also reserves and breakthrough. I would rather try to set up some sort of army, like a pretty dominant military presence, as fast as possible. And breakthrough and reserves can do that because I can get like the rifleman and cannon down right away. Reserves, by the way, would be for the food. I really need to catch up on that. And so reserves, both of these are just great for trying to ramp up that military. I don't mind having a discontent worker next turn, and for a little while. Rebellion might happen, but that's only 2 actions, not the end of the world. So I can certainly wait for another happiness tech to come by. So 2 cards to discard. Well, I'm already losing these anyways. So goodbye. Hoping for a tactic here. No. So that's where the other spy was. Gregory spied on Gary with 3 military advantage. Gary didn't have a single boat. That's a huge swing right there. So that actually gives me even more of an advantage on Gary. I felt like it was just between me and Gary at this point, but now it's kind of like Gregory reached out from behind, being way behind in science, and clawed a little back by attacking Gary. Amazing. So wealthy territory. Now, I think I'm just going to say it again, that any territory that comes up, I am super behind in food production, population. If this were what is it called, the inhabited territory, then that'd be different. Which looks like Gary is probably, yeah, he's taking selective breeding from me. Wow, that is unfortunate. And that's again a consequence of Gregory's spy working out. He was able to spy the 5 science that he needed for constitutional monarchy, which enabled him to take more cards out of the row. So I'm passing. Everyone passed. So Gary is going Roby. Republic, I imagine. And the last 3 actions, he takes revolutionary idea instead of breeding. Selective breeding is what I thought he would do. That's it's probably just what he needed to do. I mean, I thought he needed a farm. I thought he would like to take my farm, but he valued the 6 science more than that. Well, that puts him in still. So what happened there was he revolted into Republic, which means he didn't draw any military cards. So even if that was a boat, I still can get any aggression off on him. So I have a choice between Annex. I could steal his vast territory, 3 yellows. There's Infiltrate, Spy, when he only has 5 science. Or I could raid him. Now, raiding would be the scientific method and the drama, giving me 12 resources. So that sounds pretty good. The annex would also be pretty strong. It wouldn't hurt him so much. He does have a pretty good happiness thing going on, and he does have a couple yellows already in the bank, in the worker pool. So it's kind of a toss up, but raid seems a lot stronger. I think what I'm also going to decide at this point is that I still haven't drawn a decent tactic. I could, of course, fortifications is there, but it's still such a slog to put all of these guys onto fortifications. Of course, I could draw this one tactic that's possible, but I also need to draw a war to make this worthwhile. And the chance of drawing a decent tactic that I can use pretty well, if I draw one of these, I also have to get tanks. So I'm going to switch to kind of a more middle ground where I'm still going to be I still have a great economy, so I could still get back into military if I wanted to a little later on. But I want to make sure that I'm doing the best I can for points and for impacts as well. So what I'm gonna do here is, yes, I'm gonna go ahead and raid him. It might be the last aggressive thing I do, but we'll see. And I'll destroy the scientific method and a drama. Okay. And I'm going to get into multimedia here. So this is kind of scary, but I'm going to kill an entire army in order to get this. And is that a waste? Yes, that's a huge waste. Here's the thing. I get a multimedia down this turn, and here's urban growth. Okay. Next turn, I can get another multimedia down. Reserves gets me food, and I can get another pop out, and urban growth gets me another multimedia. So at that point, I'll be pulling in 7 points a turn. I got Gary, I took him down to 4 just now. And not only that, but I managed to steal 6 resources without corrupting. So this is pretty strong, I think. This is what I'm going to go with. I'm going to skip organized religion yet again because first of all, there's professional sports, but also even better would be movies. And, I haven't put down any farm tech all game, so it's not like I'm pushing the yellow bank too hard. So a couple movies, 3 movies would be awesome, but, I can make this work, and if I have to, I'll build a temple or 2. I just gave up organized religion. I don't see myself getting all that happy. So, sure, I guess we could throw that one out. Okay, so I didn't draw a tactic. I can, hindsight's 2020, but I can, be a little happier there that I chose a more sane, not so military path. Oh, and Einstein came out. If Einstein's still there when I get back next turn, I'll be very, very happy. So now we have a strategic territory up for bid that Gregory triggered, and another territory that I really can't afford that food cost. We'll try the Knights. And so Gary actually didn't go for it, which I guess that makes sense. I would think he would. He has a pretty good recovery path. So he loses one knight for that. Gets into coal for all of his science, but then he takes 6 more science. And he takes satellites. I'm glad he took satellites because there's that historic territory in there. I'd rather Gregory have it than Gary because Gregory has fewer points. So Gary has rebuilt that drama that I destroyed. Looks like he's not going to rebuild the scientific method, and instead he's going to go for a cavalry. And here comes Gandhi. Gandhi makes sense for him. He's well into drama, and Gregory. At this point, Gregory is his main threat with only 4 military actions. I suppose I could have gone and tried to reinvigorate a military strategy, but now with Gary holding Gandhi, it's going to be a little tougher. So it makes me also glad that I'm trying to earn points a little more honestly. Now, my turn, let's get politics for a second. My turn would probably look something like this, where I get this food in order to get a pop out, and then either put them on probably multimedia, or I could see maybe going movies, although that's pretty, I don't know, that's a lot of actions right there, and I miss a lot of stuff that I could get. So probably multimedia, and certainly interested in Einstein, but I would lose 4 military if I elected him. So what I'd like to do now, so I could stay at 6 to 14. Gandhi can't attack me, but Gregory, I'm down by 8. I could bluff and act like I have a 6 and just leave it like that, and just dare him to attack me, and then take military buildup so that I'm ready next turn to get back into the game. That's kind of risky. So I have 5 military actions. If I can get to 9 military, then I'll be okay. The problem, of course, is that I only have 2 resources after building a library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose. I have 2 packs that could get me out of this. One will give me 4 strength, but I would be feeding points to whoever I offered that to, and that would be Gary. Or I could do military alliance with Gary, and we would both add 3 to our strength. I guess I'm going to go with this, I think, because I think he would be interested in getting 3 strength. That would put him stronger than Gregory. There's not much of a downside for him, because if I attack him, the 3 strength advantage goes away for both of us. It's kind of like it never existed. So it's really for him only 3 more strength against Gregory, mostly for strength-based events, not so much for attacking, at least at this point. So let's see if Gary accepts my military alliance. All right, great. So we got the +3 strength. That's going to enable us to get Einstein elected without having to fear an attack. So let's get some food and get a library, second one. And then I'll grab Einstein, go ahead and elect him. Now I could not elect him, I suppose, and yeah, I mean, I'm not getting the points, but it's 3 science if I do, so I guess the advantage being that I wouldn't have to discard so much, but I have a lot of aggressions that I'm not likely going to use at this point. So 3 more actions. Air Force is I usually do go for Air Force if I have the chance. But I don't know. This is that kind of game I think where, first of all, I don't have much, of an army. I don't have plans to do a whole lot of attacking myself. Gregory is the only one who would be able to use it. Gary being with Gandhi. So Gregory has not really a ton of science. He could get an Air Force, not this turn, but next turn. But he doesn't have any other military tech to go with it. So it's not really gonna really do a whole lot for him. I do see this military buildup as pretty valuable at this point. I mean, that's 10 resources. That's 2 cannons. That, if Gregory does start pushing military a little bit, which I think he is likely to do, he has strategy, satellites. He could, I mean, right now I'm safe. I have 5, we have a difference of 5, and I have 5 military actions. But if he just pushes it a little bit, I'm starting to sweat. So I'm going to grab military buildup. And the last action, I could see either rockets or engineering, but I already have cannon. So yeah, it's going to be engineering for today. And so another path would be maybe play engineering and then build the library. But then I would actually get into corruption at that point. So it wouldn't really save a whole lot. I'm gonna, I value that more for the impact of progress and also clean up the last bits of a wonder if I do end up grabbing a wonder, which I think I probably will. Probably get the space flight if I can. For military cards, that it's never easy to discard a lot of military cards, especially when you can't see them. So I do have it packed. I think this is going to be the first one on the chopping block. Yeah, I mean, all the aggressions are pretty unlikely to land at this point. I'm going to get the cannons out at some point, but I'm not going to be super ahead of anybody, really. And this looks like Annex, right? Yeah, Annex. It wasn't even something I went for when I did have the chance to steal 3 yellows. And the later we get in this game, the less useful that's going to be. Impact of science would be amazing. Okay, so impacted government. That's potentially going to be good. So Gregory has decided to attack me, and that's just to get me to discard 5 cards. He knows I can defend. So I have 8 cards here. This is just a question of which 3 do I want to keep. I can already see, I definitely want to keep this one, the fortifications, and possibly this one. Think I could. I think there's a good chance I can get tanks. So let's see what that looks like. So I would keep both of these and then transition from fortifications into whatever this one's called. So Gregory's getting Charlie Chaplin for his leader. 8 happy faces, and he takes Air Force. So it looks like he's planning to go opera or lull me into a false sense of security. Gary goes for another drama, steals democracy, and steals movies. So he's not going to get either of those. He couldn't even revolt into democracy this game. But he steals movies, effectively stealing movies from Gregory, because he knows that I can get movies right now. Um, all right, so as far as events go, so I could play this right now, and probably I'm going to get some points off of that. I was hoping to get democracy and get a lot of points off of that, but here we are. I don't think I want to play an event right now, though. I'm going to have 2 more chances to play an impact this game. I'm not ready for historic territory at all, and there are 2 other events that I'm not really sure what they are. One event that I really don't want to see is emigration. And let's see. So I'm gonna grab. Okay, so there's 2. The way I see it, there's 2 ways to approach this turn. One is to think about how Gregory attacked me last time, and that he could do that again. I'm gonna have at the end of this turn 6 cards in hand. If he attacks me, I might have to discard 5 if I don't draw a boat. So that would be basically I would keep my best impact. The safe plan would look like this. It would go tanks, riflemen, okay, military buildup, upgrade, and now I'm safe from attack. And I would still grab movies and be really excited to play movies next turn. But here's the thing, I could play movies this turn and get 4 more points out of that and be safe from emigration. So let's see what that looks like. I grab movies, research, get engineering, and now I have, because of engineering, they only cost 8. And 3 actions left. At that point, I would take these tanks and, of course, reserves. And so I'm taking Gregory's tanks away. He still has modern infantry coming up. This is a really tight race. I mean, I think that I need those 4 points. I could see the other way as being, okay, sacrifice your 4 points, but guarantee that you're not going to lose a handful of cards, and that you're going to keep your tactic and your impacts, which could be worth more than 4 points. Probably would be, if I draw anything decent right now. I have a 70% chance of drawing a boat, because I've seen 0 boats. There are 31 cards I haven't seen. That's the odds, about 70% chance that I draw a boat right now. And if I do, then of course, if Gregory attacks, I just discard the boat, and everything's fine. I'm still really concerned about historic territory and who that's going to go to. That could determine quite a bit. I mean, if I draw 3 boats right now, but no, that's unlikely, of course. What am I doing? What am I doing with next turn is the question. I do have now effectively 16 resources by the end of the game, which is enough for Hollywood. I think Hollywood would be the best wonder at this point. I would get 20 points out of that. Or spaceflight. Spaceflight might be actually more by the time I finish it. So I'm in wonder territory here. So is Gary. If Gary gets 1 more yellow, he could grab fast food, and I think that's worth about 17 points. All right, there's the boat I needed, and impact of technology. I just wanted to see what the math looks like on there, because I'm pretty excited about drawing that. So Gregory, well, let's look at Gary. Gary has no age 3 techs and will not have any age 3 techs as far as I can tell. He might get, no, rockets is gone. Okay, mechanized agriculture, he might get 1. I already have 3 down, and can possibly, well, I can definitely get a few more. It's gonna be a huge swing in impact of tech. What a card to draw. And I got the boat that I needed. Okay, so Gregory has researched opera and architecture. So he didn't attack me, which is good because I need that boat for historic. takes endowment, which makes sense. That'll be 6 points for him. And skips Air Force, so I don't see a war coming, which is great. Wow, okay, he gets both yellows, reserves and engineering genius. I was just worried he would get one of them, and he got both. I wonder what he's probably gonna go for. Fast food then. All right, so my turn. Impact of government, impact of technology. Obviously, I'm going with technology. So let's see what this does for us. There it is, historic territory. So I imagine Gary's gonna go all in here, and I probably won't get this. But let's say that I go all in. I just want to see what my turn would look like. I'd be at 4 military. I would want to recover militarily from that. I'm pretty sure that's the right move. Otherwise, there's risk of raiding and plundering and all that stuff. So a recovery would look like cannons, military upgrade, increased pop, and disband agriculture. And that's 4 actions, leaving 3 actions for either Hollywood or spaceflight, and then 1 more, maybe mechanized ag. So I have a recovery path from that, and it's 11 points that if I am going to win this, I probably steal this from Gary. I don't know, I guess Gregory could win this himself if he had enough boats. It just really comes down to who has the boats and who wants to actually commit to this. 11 points, so this could be 22-point swing if Gary would have won this otherwise. My second favorite thing would be to just send the knights, and I'm almost certainly not going to win with that. But at least then that frees up some actions to like get civil service, for example, and get more age 3 techs. Each age 3 tech is worth about 10 points right now. So each action is pretty valuable here, and so if this is going to take me 4 actions to recover from, that's probably 15 points right there. But if I don't win this and Gary does, then that's 22 points. So I think even though it's going to be expensive to recover, it's probably best to throw everything at it. GaryPan, yep. So that's pretty bad, and it's not like I'm going to be able to take advantage of that. I don't have the military. All right, so it looks like he threw everything he had at it. 3 swordsmen and a cav and a boat. So let's look at what he's got left. No military, 3 military power, and very vulnerable to an attack from Gregory. Is Gregory going to want to attack him? I don't know. I think Gregory at this point is probably going to go for 2nd place and try to attack me and bring me down if he can. Let's see. All right, so my turn. I have quite a few interesting cards in front of me. I also have an issue with corruption. So if I don't do something with resources, I'm going to lose 2 resources and not be able to build a wonder. So the naive approach to that would be, like, the impulse for me is just, okay, let's increase pop, get 4 food out. And there is a way forward from that, and that looks kind of like this, where I get, let's see, I can like disband a warrior to put him on rich land, or put him on ag, and that avoids the famine. So it's 4 points basically that I saved right there. But still, we haven't earned any points this turn. We just kind of maintained status quo. But if I grab democracy and research that, that's basically 14 points due to Einstein and impact of tech, and the 6 points it gives by itself, and plus impact of gov if that's what I play. So that's pretty good, 14 points right there. And then I would, the last thing I would do is grab spaceflight and combo off of that. The next turn I would have 22 science, and I would hope to get 2 more H3 techs down. That looks alright. That's about 52 points. 52 points total when all is said and done. But I am pretty vulnerable to, if Gregory decides to attack me this turn and next turn, then that's an issue. Or he could try a war right now, for that matter. He could go to 18 military after declaring war, and I could like match that, but then I wouldn't get my wonder down. So this is risky. There's another variation where I don't disband a warrior, but I do. It is 4 points less because I'd have to spend an action to pull off a guy from scientific method. So that's about 48 points. But let's look at another option, and that is, let's get tanks down first, just to free up space in our hand so we can grab something. And I'm going to grab civil service. And now if I research that, boom, I have 3 more blues, and I don't have to worry about corruption. I don't have to increase pop. And I have 4 more actions left. And I also got 2 more points off of impact of government. So I count that as 12 points for 2 actions right there. Civil service. And that's assuming I go space flight, which I will. And then I have 1 more action, and it's looking like I'll have 20 science next turn. If I grab mechanized agriculture, then I can hopefully grab another tech next turn, and those 2 would be basically 20 more points. So altogether, this looks like an extra 59 points. Let's see what I draw here. Hopefully a better tech than impact of gov. Impact of strength. And it's not going to be something I'm going for. And look at all the great cards I just lost. And so Gregory has attacked me with a raid. So I could just throw a boat at it and defend. But I happen to have 5 cards that I have no interest in. I threw away cannons. There's no rockets in the row or in the deck. There's no deck. So I can get rid of all of these rocket tactics. And then these are just not something I'm interested in doing next turn. Okay. Okay, so I did hit that immigration that I was kind of worried about before. I'll go ahead and lose a scientific method, and I'm still in the lead for impact of science. 412.4. Gregory has computers, but he can only get +6 out of that, +6 science per turn, so that would put him at 10. Let's address the uprising next. A couple ways I could do that. I could just disband the warrior, but then I'm vulnerable to attack. So I got to maintain at least a difference of 5. Now, I could also, if I played military buildup and then upgraded and then disbanded the warrior, okay, now I'm safe from attack, and I don't have to sacrifice the guy on iron, which would be my next favorite thing to do. I don't have to worry about impact of strength. I discarded that to an aggression, so I'm not worried about that. There is impact of competition, but I don't think that Gary would have. I don't think anybody would have played that, just given the fact that I had tanks out, and I don't know. I just don't see that as an issue. Even if someone did play it, it's not going to be a huge swing. But even so, I will go ahead and let's grab professional sports, just to have something to research. And this is just for impact of tech, for Einstein, and for spaceflight. Okay, I need to finish getting my resources together. Okay, now I can finish spaceflight in 1 action. And we have 2 actions left. So I might as well steal these. So Gregory's last turn, he destroys a lab in order to build a theater. And he's the strongest. Alright, so first impact. Impact of variety. That is not one that I thought was too likely to come up. I didn't see anybody who had really a good edge there, but there it is. Impact of balance. Okay. Yep, great. Well, so I thought Gregory would have gotten more out of that. Who played that? The balance. Maybe Gandhi played balance for or Gary for the +1 point. I don't know. That's interesting. Unexpected. And then of course here's my technology impact. 24 points over the others. And then my impact of government. Alright, so I ended up winning by 33 points. So there wasn't any, it wasn't like there's only one thing at the end that I could point to. Fast food, Gregory stealing that would have been 18 points that Gary would have had. Albert Einstein for me was 18 points. Spaceflight was 28. Impact of technology was 24. And so no single one of those things won me the game, but I needed at least 3 out of 4, or else I would have lost. As far as the luck of this game, I just want to go briefly acknowledge that yes, there was some very lucky things that happened. Let's start with the unlucky things. I didn't draw any wars, any culture wars with Napoleon, and not a lot of boats either. I played historic territory with a ton of military actions, thinking for sure I'll draw some boats, and I ended up losing historic territory to Gary. But of course, there was more good luck than bad, I think. There was the 2 tech wars that I drew right after Napoleon was elected. Those, I'm pretty sure I would have lost if that hadn't happened. There was no ravages of time, which would have killed my hanging gardens. There was the impact of technology that I drew, along with the military alliance. I was also fortunate that Greg spied on Gary when he did, because then Gary, his next turn was to say, okay, well, I need to recover on science. He ended up getting Max and getting a Republic, and then spending the rest of his turn drawing the 6 science, and that meant he wasn't going up in military, so I was able to raid him for 6 resources. Put them all together, and that's why I won, I guess, is what I'm saying. A lot of it was just good draws. But let me know, tell me, I gave you a lot of my reasonings for my strategic decisions and tactical decisions, but I'd like to hear if any of you, if anybody would have done any differently. If you thought at one point, why did he do that? I would have done this instead. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear some feedback and what your reasons are for doing something differently. So please comment below, and I hope you enjoyed this video.